FOMO, fear of missing out, is not just exclusive to Kickstarter. This is de facto the operating model for Games Workshop. That's what we're going to explore in this vlog, highlighting the current release of Warhammer Quest Cursed City and just how fast this anticipated release sold out. 20 minutes, 5 minutes here in the US. Essentially, you can't get it anywhere. Now, there will be a second reprint, but in terms of the original release and the exclusives, there's going to be no opportunity to pick that up. Now, we can't see the secret sauce behind the scenes. And this is an interesting duality because many of us in the Warhammer community, we're enthusiasts of the game. We're invested in the community. We grow the community. For many of us, it's a weekly or perhaps monthly rite of passage where we get together with friends and hobby and paint and model and roll dice. I can say on the level beyond the tactics, beyond the enjoyment of playing games, more than anything else, more than Dungeons and Dragons, more than Battletech, more than X-Wing miniatures, more than board games, Warhammer has allowed me to meet new friends, interesting friends, to kind of break through and meet people that I would never meet outside of my daily day-to-day life. And to be able to become friends and have conversations, that's been really, really awesome. But I say that because if you're a Games Workshop enthusiast, you are under no illusion that Games Workshop really doesn't care about you. I mean, their appreciation of the customer base is like they barely tolerate us because they know there's this duality of they've got you locked. They've perfected, especially in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the idea of a scarcity mindset. And they know nerd culture. I don't really like that term, but that culture that I'm a part of, they know that you are emotionally invested in this. There's a hierarchy. There's a set of rules, and you're emotionally invested, and that validation is through exclusives and being part of release and having certain models. I'm not passing any judgment. It's kind of an interesting place to be. It's an interesting culture. But this is what I really, really wonder, and this is what accelerates multiple tangents. If Games Workshop has marketed things where you either get on board or you miss out, and this timeline is being accelerated where it used to be back in the day, there was a limited release. You went to Games Day. You got the Games Day miniature. I got the Space Marine with the Warhammer that I gave to a good friend. And that was a limited release miniature. You were there or you didn't get it. But everything else was released moving normally. Now what we see is everything is limited release. Even when it's not marketed limited release, you either get on or that's it. And how fair is that? How sustainable is that? Of course, can we say capitalism because it's not a U.S. company? We've perfected that art form of exploiting customers. Vote with your wallet. Vote with your Bitcoin. Vote with your virtual dollars and just say, no, I'm not going to buy it anymore. But this goes back to the culture. This goes back to I'm a part of a group and there's a hierarchy. But being perfecting the FOMO, exploiting the customer base, what I see accelerating it, and I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments, this idea of scalpers. Now, there was an interesting comment on the previous vlog where bots are just buying stuff or we have a scalper buying stuff or perhaps an operation to then turn it around on eBay 2 or 3 or 4 times the price. You even see this on Amazon sometimes. You go looking for something on Amazon, an example, Runebound, just to switch gears for a moment to illustrate and framework the dialogue. Runebound, I love second edition. I have to put that out there. A lot of second edition fanboys. I'm one of them. Third edition Runebound, I didn't buy in for a long time because I'm like, look, I got all this great second edition content. I love it. At some point, I was like, let me buy into third edition because there's a couple of things I like. Having played it, I was able to purchase third edition and all of the expansions before Fantasy Flight just totally killed it. Every now and then, I check on Amazon out of curiosity to see if there's other copies or just to kind of keep in touch. And maybe you've seen this. games or other limited release stuff or stuff out of print, you'll see someone selling it for like Runebound, 3rd edition, $999. Now, do you really think you're going to get someone to pay that price? Or maybe given the volume of searches on Amazon, somebody somewhere will, and it costs you nothing to list it. And if it takes a couple of months to move that, you made $1,000? Is the strategy just, I'm going to go look at your online store and see what else you have for sale that's reasonable? I mean, that I don't know. But you see now this entirely secondary, switching back over to Games Workshop. Look at it for Blackstone Fortress. I mean, I've enjoyed playing Blackstone Fortress. I continue to play Blackstone Fortress, but I was able to buy in and move along the way. You jump into BSF right now, you've got to go to eBay. You've got to go secondhand, and you're paying, $300, $400, $500 if you can even get it. So what I wonder is, are we seeing the acceleration of the timeline where now it used to be, you had this stuff, it was limited release, it went out of print, now it's a couple of years later, you discover it, you're excited, okay, I'm going to have to pay the eBay fees or the scalper fees. Now it's like day one, you have to pay it. Day one if you want to buy in. If you want the limited release key, you want the hardback book because of the character cards, you got to buy in. Otherwise, no. I mean, it's a very, very interesting place. And just the business model. It's effective, it's working, but how is that going to affect the community? And I see it pushing scalpers more and more, and I see it pushing 3D printing more and more, and I see it pushing long-term fans. There's also this interesting duality. There's always going to be fans that, and not just with Games Workshop, although they're accelerating it, fans that just say, I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. I can't. Maybe my life situation has changed with work and school. Maybe just I've got enough plastic stuff to last me a long time. I'm out. I'm done. There's always going to be people dropping off. There's always going to be people joining in to 40K or Age of Sigmar, the Games Workshop empire. But it's interesting, and I've been seeing this accelerate, and I'm going to leave it over to you guys in the comments. I am seeing more and more people saying, almost pulling the hobby from Games Workshop in spite of Games Workshop. And I'm not talking about that group of people over in the corner that are still playing 5th edition of 40K so they can utilize all their rhinos and chimeras. I'm talking about current 40K players, current Warhammer enthusiasts that say, I'll get the stuff 3D printed. I'll get the stuff proxy. I'll get the stuff my own way. I'll explore the Grimdark or the Cursed City my own way, where they're almost navigating outside of games. I have to choose, to quote the Great Inquisitor, I have to choose my next words carefully, navigating outside of that system. And I see that picking up more and more and more. And at the end of the day, if Games Workshop doesn't care, then it doesn't care. And right now there's no reason to care because, again, it's a free market economy, capitalism, all that great stuff. I just want my plastic crack. It's like, here, take my cash, but we can't get it. So your thoughts on that. And we're going to follow up in part 2, just to break it up. What would finally topple Games Workshop? What will finally bring about the prophecies of the Golden Throne and all those heretics over the years that have turned out to be correct? What will topple the number one?